Before we get started, I'd like to talk about a couple things that'll make your SketchUp life that much easier. First thing, I always like to work in the biggest screen that I possibly can. And if you are on a desktop computer, if you hit the F11 key on the top of your keyboard, it'll change it from a screen with tabs to a full screen view. The second thing that you're going to need is a functional mouse. It's extremely hard to do anything with SketchUp on a trackpad. So make sure your mouse has a functional rolly wheel, which allows you to orbit back and forth and also zoom back in and out. The third thing that I like to have, if possible, is two screens. So that could be a Chromebook plugged in, or if you are lucky enough, like I am, to have two screens, you could have this YouTube video running on the left hand. Something that I always encourage my students to do is actually learn what are called the quick keys. So the quick keys are just keys that you tap on your keyboard to activate various tools. I've made a list of those in a Google slideshow. And some of the most common ones that I use are P, Q, R, S, spacebar, C, E for eraser, M for move, and so on. If you want to pause for a second and write these down and put them next to you, it is going to make your life so much faster and so much easier. Good morning, students. Today, what I wanted to do with you is I want to draw out our next project as a class. And as I mentioned yesterday, our next project is going to be to rebuild the classroom tables using fancy hardwood species. Each student group is going to be responsible for recreating one table. And as with any project that I build, I always like to start out with a plan. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. And we're going to start by drawing a rectangle. So I'm going to tap the R key for rectangle. And my rectangle is going to be 30 inches wide by 5 feet long. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a random size rectangle. I'm going to type in 30, and then I'm going to hit comma, and I'm going to type in 60, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, if your rectangle happens to be a different orientation, then that does not really matter. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and establish our thickness, and then I'll add some dimensions on here, and I'll hit pause, and you guys can see exactly what dimensions I have. So I'm going to pull my tabletop up by a total of 2 inches. Let's make sure that, 2 inches should be adequate. We'll do 2, and we're going to hit enter. Okay. And so this right here is the basic overall shape of our table. I'm going to add some dimensions onto it before I lock it into a group or a component. So we have 2'6" by that by 2 inches thick. Okay, so this is actual tabletop surface. The next thing that I want to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this into a group, and we're going to lock it. To do that, we're going to triple click on it, if it lets me. Right click, and I'm going to go ahead and make that a component. Or I should not make it a component. Sorry, I'm going to make it a group. Okay, it's currently locked. The next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to draw this into the individual planks, and then we'll flip it over and we're going to draw some pieces on the bottom here as well. All right, now that it's grouped, I'm going to go ahead and open up the group by double-clicking on it. So once, twice. My mouse isn't working for some reason. All right, then I'm going to activate the tape measure tool, and I'm going to click roughly in the middle or somewhere on the edge. And I'm going to click and I'm going to drag over by 4 inches. Hit enter. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag over by 4. Hit enter. 4, enter. 4, enter. And I'm going to divide my tabletop into a series of planks. Now, using the line tool, what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to go through and I'm actually going to trace on top of these, and I'm going to turn them into individual planks. And let's go ahead and extend this. All all the way around on each of them. So if I get my view right, I should just be able to do this. Yep. So we're going to go all the way across. Green means that it's actually drawing in a straight line on this axis. So I'm tapping the L key every single time that I do this. So L, every single time that I complete a line, L. And then we're going to rotate our view, and we should be able to connect the dots. L. Whoops, crooked line. Control Z. All right, so I have a bunch of planks. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean up these lines. I don't really like them, so I don't need them anymore either. So if I draw a box around, I'm using the pointer tool. Okay, I can go ahead and hit the delete key. An easier way to do it is if I go over to these eyeglasses right here and I hit delete all guides. That's an easier way to do it. Now, one thing you'll notice is that everything around my shape right now is kind of greened out. So she's greened out and everything else. That means that I have it selected. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect it. And the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to flip our view all the way around so that we can actually see the bottom. So we're looking at the bottom of our table. Now, the issue with the tabletop of this size is as it dries and as the humidity changes, it's going to want to cup. The way that we're going to get around that is actually by drawing a series of cleats. So I'm going to activate my tape measure tool by hitting the T button. And I'm going to click somewhere over here. And we're going to drag it in by a total of 14 inches. I'm going to type in 14. We'll hit enter. On that 14-inch mark, I'm going to draw a line. We're going to go all the way across. And then I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag down. Let go of my mouse. I'm going to type in 3. I'm going to hit enter. And go up to here and over here. Okay. Let's add some dimensions onto that so you can do it. So this is 3. And from right here to right here is 1 foot 2, also known as 14 inches. For total thickness, we're going to pull this up by a total of 2 inches. We'll hit enter. This is what is going to happen. We're actually going to take and we're going to put screws into here. And this is actually going to fight that cupping or curling motion on the table. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our tape measure tool again. And I'm going to click and I want to drag up on this axis by 1 inch. And hit enter. Okay. And then I want to click on each corner. I'm going to drag over by a total of 4. And I'll hit enter. And I'll throw some dimensions on here in a second after you see what I'm doing. So tape measure, click here. Let's go over by 4. We'll hit enter. And I'm going to activate my line tool, and I'm just going to connect the corners here. So once again, be patient, and I'll throw some dimensions on here, and you'll see what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and push this off on both sides. Okay. And let's add some dimensions on there for you so you can see. So this is 1 inch. This is a total of 4 inches. And this is, oh yeah, you get that 4 inches back. Yeah, that should be all of the dimensions that you need. Because if you care, it's 1 foot 10 in between the two. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this into a group. So I'm going to triple click on it. And I'm going to make it a group. Okay. And I'm just going to copy paste this over to the other side so I know where it is. So I'm going to activate my tape measure tool. And I want to come in by 14 on that axis. So we're going to hit the M key, Control key, copy, paste, and we're going to click, we're going to drag that over until it snaps on that corner. Now, usually I have to do it more than once, but always drag from a corner, please. It makes life so much easier. Okay, so that looks like we want it to do. So let's go ahead and flip it all the way back around. So this actually looks like your tabletop surface. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all these extra lines that I don't need. And let's see while we're here what the warehouse has. So let's do table leg. I wonder if they have any legs like the ones that are in the classroom here. Maybe let's make it more specific. Metal leg. Ah, there we go. So OSB table and metal legs. So if you go up here, let me show you how to get there first. So if you click over here on this button, which is components, and then you click on this button. So we're going to type in OSB table leg, and we're going to go ahead and move that piece into our model. Okay. Now, the only thing I care about is these particular legs, which look very similar to the ones that you're sitting next to. And I need to go ahead and I'm going to explode this. So I'm going to click on it, right click, and I'm going to hit explode. And it should take it all the way back into the original components. So let's delete that. Next thing we can do is actually take these legs and we can attach them onto our table. So I can either move the table up here or I can move the leg down. I think I'm going to go ahead and move the legs down. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to tap the M key, going from a corner, and I'm going to snap it to that corner. Let's go ahead and rotate my view a little bit. And I'm not entirely sure if we're going to put these flush with the corner or we're going to put some on the M key. Let's snap it to that corner. And let's do this one. M key, snap it to that corner. I think that's right. I can always move again. Might have to tweak it a little bit. M key, let's snap it to somewhere in there, and then we'll reposition it if we need. Oh, that's way in space. So once again, if you're struggling like I am right now, if you go corner to corner, usually you can get it close. Maybe you have to do it multiple times. Sometimes SketchUp is funky with that. All right, let's zoom in here. Corner, let's grab the right corner. Corner, yep. Yeah, let's tweak this one a little bit here too. Corner to corner. Great. So your finished table should look something like this. I'm going to go ahead and actually just move this whole thing up. Put it next to our gal here. But this is what your finished product for submission should look like. So 5 feet by 2'6" with 2 cleats underneath. Your cleats have 1 inch in this dimension by 3 inches in this dimension by a total of 3 inches wide. Go ahead, jump over to Google Drive. After you're done, right click on your file and share it with me. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.